soon as she gets her audio down here, we can get this sucker going. All right. I call this meeting to order. Let's stand and do the pledge.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Corinne, for the flag. Nice.
I'm learning.
Nice to have one again.
I'm learning.
Right. Can we have roll call, please, Amanda?
Trustee Bear,
Here.
Trustee Bettinger, Trustee Johnson,
Here.
Trustee Knudsen,
Here.
Trustee Meck,
Here.
Trustee Pattison,
Here.
Mayor Bachran.
Here. All right. We have a quorum and we can continue. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion to approve the agenda.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Let's move on to announcements. I don't have any announcements. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to share? All right. Seeing none, let's move on to recognition of visitors and guests. How many people would like to speak tonight? Raise your hands. You have one? Okay, that's all I see. All right. 2329, you are on.
Hi, this is Suzanne Watson, and I wanted to bring to the trustees' attention because this was discussed a while back in one of the budget meetings, but I'm being charged sales tax on the town franchise fee on my electrical bill. And when I read the franchise fee ordinance and also the back of the DMEA bill, it doesn't sound as if this should be taxed. And I think I remember hearing from both the finance officer and the treasurer that we don't tax the franchise fee, but indeed we do. If you look at your bill, the town sales tax is 3% and the franchise fee is 3% of the total bill. And the franchise fee is always lower than the sales tax. So what DMEA is doing is they're taking the base meter charge, your usage, and they're calculating the 3% franchise fee off of that, and then they're adding the 3% franchise fee into the bill total, and then they're taking the county and local tax off of that. But what I'm frustrated by is in the town's ordinance, it says the company shall collect and pay to the town a sum of 3% of its gross revenue derived from the sale of electricity to residents, excluding industrial customers, within the corporate limits of the town. So what this is, it's 3% of the gross revenue. And it seems like sales tax should be calculated from the gross revenue. So the franchise fee, in a sense, is like, it's almost like a tax. It's 3% of the gross revenue. So I don't understand how they can take that 3% and add it back into your bill, charge you sales tax, and then give it to the town. And then if you read the back of the DMEA bill, which explains the franchise fee, it says this fee can vary by town. It is set by your elected town officials. DMEA collects it on your town's behalf and remits it back to your town. So it seems a little odd that they're collecting 3% for you guys, the town, letting you charge sales tax on it, and then giving it back to you. There's something that seems a little wrong about this. And in light of the fact that it doesn't seem like people are aware of what's going on, I would like to see this put on as an agenda item or something so we can look into it a little bit more deeply and have a discussion as to whether this is actually appropriate or not. I tried reaching out to DMEA, and they're not willing to change the practice. So I wanted to bring this to your attention.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Anyone else?
Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we, rather than having a discussion about that item, that we do place it on the agenda for next month's first meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, wait, Cindy's got her hand up. We already passed it, but go ahead, Cindy.
So that actually doesn't have anything to do with us. And we can't do anything about it because we charge the franchise tax. What they do on their end with charging, whether it qualifies for sales tax or not, is part of them and the Department of Revenue. It has nothing to do with us. We're charging them a franchise fee. They are putting the franchise fee on their bill. Whether it's taxable or not is with Department of Revenue and sales tax law, not anything to do with the town of Paonia.
Thank you, Cindy.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, Bill.
you know, I'm sure that there's pros and cons and arguments to be made one way or the other. I simply would like to see it on the agenda item so we could have it more fully fleshed out at a meeting and not have a discussion at this time.
Sure,
Agree.
sure. It's been approved, so it'll be on the next agenda.
Madam Mayor, this is the treasurer.
Yes, Mr.
With
King.
your permission, I would ask that I work with the finance director, and I'll prepare information to present at the next meeting relative to this subject.
Oh, thank you very much. That would be incredibly helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, unless there's nobody else in the audience. I don't see anyone. All right, moving on to staff reports. Administrators report.
So I've
Go.
included, hello, good evening. I included in the packet the written updated report as far as the COVID community dashboard information as of 5 p.m. today. There are 21 new cases reported in the last 24 hours. Currently, we have 9 hospitalizations, 230 active cases, and a total loss of life at 48. The Delta County is still taking registrations for vaccinations, and all the information is listed at deltacounty.com. If you go to their coronavirus 19 page, you can find information about the vaccine, information about testing, and updated numbers. And if there's any questions about anything that's included in the packet, I'm happy to answer.
All right, questions for Corinne from the board. Yes, Bill.
Just a comment, not a question. They are actively administering vaccinations, and all you got to do is call a number and get on a list. Very simple to do. And within a few days, you get called. So I got mine. Everybody over 70 is available, is eligible right now.
Yeah, that is the restriction, is you have to be over 70 or you have to be, I haven't known if they have moved on to frontline workers or not. But
Yeah, they did frontline workers first, then they did the age. I'm sure they're going to go down in age.
I hope so. I'm waiting. All right, Tammy.
I'm wondering, Corinne, if you could maybe shed a little more light on the master plan process. I went on that website and signed up and haven't heard anything. Do you have any idea of like the timeline, like when they're going to start doing those meetings? Will we get notification of those before they happen?
So the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Master Plan, yes. That so the website, I shared early as a soft open. It technically went live and they started advertising for it yesterday. So they are finalizing the schedule for all of the meetings, and that information will be updated on there and sent out probably within the next week. And they will contact everyone that submits interest.
So it might be a good idea for everyone who's interested in that to sign up if they aren't already aware of that.
That is correct. If you want to participate as a key stakeholder, and then the town also will do the advertisements for the meetings when the community meeting schedule is published.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. All right, Dave.
Well, I was just going to self-disclose that I'm over 70 and got a shot.
Oh. I'm not. I'm 6 months off and they won't let me have one. Boo. All right, any other questions or comments for Corinne? All right, seeing nothing from the board, anything from the public? Yes, Thomas.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you on the launch of the website. I think it looks really professional, and hopefully, I'm talking about the Paonia in motion, and hopefully it'll be productive as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Anyone else? Yes, Suzanne.
So you're talking about seeing the master plan, Parks master plan. Where is this viewable?
It's on the town's website and the town's social media Facebook page currently. And it's the address is www.paoniainmotion.com.
Okay, so there's another website too. So there are 3 different places we can see it?
Yes.
All
okay,
right.
thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, let's move on to Public Works Utilities. Travis?
Good evening. Good evening. Did have a written report into the agenda. We are working on our fill station. It has arrived, so we're installing that right now. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of this week. If not, it'll be mid next week with all new parts, hopefully. Then we have a training session, so there is a little bit of lead time to get it up and going. We did have a water leak today, just right at the base of Dry Gulch. It was a service line. Did get it repaired. And other than that, that's all I've got, unless you guys have any questions.
Okay, questions for Travis from the board? Okay, seeing none, I do have a question, Travis. Any idea when the guys are going to be able to get the new internet line or phone line so that SCADAS can work?
At the 1 million?
Yeah, at the 1 million.
I talked with Chris today, and it's not the internet line, it's the iPad. They put Verizon on it, yeah. And we don't have Verizon on there or around here. Very good service, so they're gonna look at it, and they should have that completed by next week.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else from the board, then questions for Travis from the public? Yes, Thomas.
Me again, thank you. Yeah, I was looking at the chart. Thank you for providing the chart very much, Travis, regarding the production numbers for 2020. And it looks like in December we sold more water than was produced. And I was wondering if those numbers are correct and if you had an explanation for how that might happen.
A lot of times you will see that because we've got $2 million worth of storage. So if the water produced in the storage and stuff doesn't add up and stuff, you will have some months that the storage is helping the water.
Okay, so it's storage from the previous month.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. All right, anything else from the public? All right, Dave?
Just a quick question. What is the full capacity level for the storage tank? I'm sorry I didn't ask that earlier.
It's a 2 million gallon storage tank at 30 feet.
I'm sorry, did you say 30 feet?
Yeah, 30 feet and 2 million gallons.
Okay, so when we see 29.85, it's almost full.
Correct.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much, Travis.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to police. Neil.
Hello, how is everybody tonight? So tomorrow morning, after I get done with the meeting, I will be heading to Hellman Chevrolet and picking up our new patrol car. It is there. It'll go from the dealership straight to go get the decals put on it. I'm hoping to have it back by Friday. Usually the decals take about a day or two to get put on there. I'm hoping to have it Friday, maybe Monday at the latest, in the shop and starting to gut it and tear it apart and wire it. Hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll have it on the road in about a week and a half tops. And then we'll have all of our cars back and I can stop driving the old Ford that we have. It's been a good car, but it's just a little old. We also going to be trying to talk with Mr. Bowe and trying to get some new laws put on the book, hopefully, maybe. We're having quite the big problem at the schools with vaping and underage kids that are using the vapes. Right now, currently, we don't have anything, or our code doesn't have anything to meet that charge. So we're going to end up having to send charges down country, which we try to avoid if we can. So hopefully next couple of weeks or so, I'll get with our committee and sit down and start going from there and trying to write a new vaping law or come up with something that we can enact in the next couple of months for the schools and for hopefully to be able to sway some of the kids from vaping and taking the vape stuff to school. And that's about what I have for now.
Okay, questions for the chief from the board? Yes, Bill.
Well, you indicated that you're sending them down to the county. Does the county have rules on that?
They do. Their state statute for minor in possession of, and they have their laws more caught up on the vaping and everything than what we have at this point. We have minor in possession of tobacco, but with the vaping, it's different because it could be tobacco or nicotine. It could be just flavored. Any way it goes, you still have to be a certain age to be able to buy that sort of items. And so we just need to get caught up and have something in our books with that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? No, I have one. On your report on the 3rd of January, you have a disposition on the restraining order as A. What does A stand for?
Arrest.
Ah, okay. I thought that was usually CAA.
Yeah, it usually is. It was probably just a mistake, but yeah, A is the same as a clear adult arrest also.
Great, thank you. All right, any questions for the chief from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the attorney's report. Go, Bo.
Somebody had their hand up there.
Where?
Maybe she just has her hand over the screen. It looks like she has her hand up. Never mind.
Okay.
Great, thank you. So my written report is included in the packet. one area that the mayor asked me to follow up on based on last month or the first meeting in January was the public comment discussion that came about and the ability to kind of dictate the public comment. Based on the direction that I received, I put that in the form of an opinion as a component of my memo, which details that kind of to the point that I believe that public comment is allowed for each agenda item. And for those items that are not a quasi judicial matter, the mayor has the ability to limit to one comment per person. Other than that, there's just a brief detail of the other items that we're working on. Corinne and I are going to be following up on Thursday with respect to the riverbank discussion as the developer has submitted revised documents that are being reviewed by SGM and by staff, with the goal being, I think, for a February Planning Commission review. Any questions?
Questions for Bo from the board? Yes, Tammy.
Bo, I think in the last meeting's minutes, you said you'd also provide an update on the Paonia ditch. I assume that's about the culvert. Is that correct?
Yeah. That has I actually need to conduct some more legal research on that and provide you guys with a formal opinion. That's not on tonight's agenda, but I will get that to you.
All right, anyone else? Yeah, I have a request, Bo. We had, oh wait, let Dave go first and then I'll do mine.
There were just some well thought out letters and input from the public about the way we conduct our meetings. And I'm wondering if we want to have an agenda item about that in the future to look at alternatives to the way we conduct our meetings now, because one thing that doesn't happen is I kind of like the informal nature of some of our work sessions where we can have more of a discussion back and forth and it doesn't feel quite so stilted. And I'm wondering if every single meeting has to be a huge agenda with decisions being made. I know some towns alternate and they have a business meeting and then they have more of a discussion kind of thing. So I think in light of some of the public comments and stuff, I'm wondering if there's other alternatives to the way we conduct meetings and if other trustees might think it'd be worthwhile to put that on the agenda and having a discussion about it.
Well, do you want to make a motion, Dave?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we put meeting format on the agenda for next time.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Sure, I'll second it.
All right, discussion. Board? All right, seeing none. Let's, yes, Bo has.
That's actually, there are a number of jurisdictions that they just really have one formal meeting a month and then one workshop. So that's not atypical. And I'd be happy to give Corinne a couple of examples so that she could look at other jurisdictions.
Great. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, good. So that'll be on the agenda for next time too. We're filling out that agenda. Haven't even got there. I do have one question, Bo, and I don't know if you're comfortable answering it or not. We had previously talked about trustees signing on to things with their official title. Would you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to it. Again, it's my position that trustees in their individual capacity have a free rein signing any sort of authority, any letter that they wish to, provided it's not with their title at the end of the letter. I know that there was a letter that was circulated by another trust by Mr. Knudsen with a request that he be able to kind of sign on. And it looked like there was a trustees or council members from other jurisdictions that had signed in their individual capacity. And it was unclear to me, but an assumption that that letter may not have been submitted to the board and then thus approved as a statement from that municipality or jurisdiction. I take the position that unless a letter is submitted to the board as an agenda item and voted on by the trustees, it's my position that the trustees should not sign in their official capacity, if you will, because it could be construed as a statement from the town. To kind of the other avenue or aspect is, if there is some concern or some confusion, maybe this is something that also could be added to the agenda in terms of if we wanted to get a formal policy in place in terms of dates that, letters of support need to be submitted by in order to be on the agenda. And if the board wants to have a formal position that echoes the attorney's position with respect to recognizing a trustee's individual right to sign off on a letter versus when it's a reflection of the board.
Someone like to make that motion? Yes, Dave.
I'd like to make a motion that we add that to the agenda as a discussion item.
Okay, second.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Sure, we should wait until we have a work session discussion on it first. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have 3 things on the agenda for next time. All right, we're cranking up. All right, any other questions for Bo from the board? Okay, anything from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the treasurer's report. Treasurer King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've reviewed payroll and disbursements, and I've been working with the finance director and researching reserve policy information that we could use to refer to the board for their review. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for our dearly present treasurer?
Not departed, not departed.
Go in there, and it's like, no. All right, seeing none, let's move on to the finance director's report. Cindy. It disappeared.
I don't think there was any intention for her to actually physically give the report. I was just trying to acknowledge the fact that she has started including her written report. It's included with the treasurer's report.
Okay. Well, then it's really hard to ask her questions, huh? Okay. So we'll just move
I'm
on.
available for questions if you have questions on something that's on the report.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Any questions for Cindy about her report? You're in luck. No questions. Anything from the, oh wait, Dave raised his hand.
Well, of course, I just wanted to compliment Cindy on following that track, because now we're seeing written reports for the public from our department heads. And I think it just really helps them get a perspective on what is happening at the town. So thank you, Cindy.
All right. Yes, Bill.
I had a question on the PTO. Have the rules changed on PTO? Is there something different going on now?
There has been some updates from the state regarding paid time off. And so we're comparing that to against the way that we currently handle that policy. And if we need to make changes, we will take it to finance and personnel for an update that would come back to the board for our personnel policy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Dave.
It's around the Family Medical Leave Act that the voters just signed, and whether people have paid sick leave or not. And so that's one of the issues. And then other things came up on the use of PTO and whether it gets paid back and whether there's a policy about that. So we'll need to review that at the same time.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, anything from the public? right, seeing none. Thank you, Cindy. Let's move on to disbursements. Dave and Karen?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable in the amount of $63,878.99. The Norris retirement payment of $1,680. The transfer to payroll of $23,014.15. Payroll taxes of $9,533.56. And the transfer from ops of $23,014.15.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions?
We also need to approve the payroll direct deposit.
You want to
Yes,
add
let me
that?
add that to my motion. Karen will probably fire me and do this motion the next time.
All right. Karen, does your second stand then?
Yeah, it does.
The amended motion? Okay. All right. Cindy was there. I think that's what she was going to say too. All right. Any questions about disbursements? Yes, Michelle.
Well, I had some questions about the disbursements, but I emailed those and had those answered by email ahead of the meeting. And I just wanted to check in more generally. I had some other questions that were addressed the same way. How much of that, when I have questions for staff and ask them and get the response by email, should I bring them up again during the meeting so that they're part of the public record, or how does the board prefer that we do that?
It's a good question. Yes, Bill.
Well, I would be interested in the questions and the answers personally.
Okay. Do you have any other people who want to weigh in? Well, do you want to, yes, Tammy?
Sorry, I think I lost track there for a second. I had another question
okay.
On one of the items, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, Mick.
Yeah, I would like to hear what the questions and answers were as well.
Okay, well, I tell you what, do you have those, Michelle?
I do.
All right, let's go ahead and run through that. And then Tammy, don't let me forget you.
Okay, so I had 5 questions on the disbursements this time. The first was Flower Motor, and that was for a 2007 Dodge pickup front end parts. The next one was the flow point expense, and that was related to the bulk fill station. And then Forterra pipe, that was a charge for the meter vault at the high school. And Lightworks was, actually, I'm not entirely clear on this. Meadowbrook boring was the explanation provided, but I don't really know what that means. And then Micah Erickson was for the detailing work on a police vehicle.
Yes, correct.
Sorry, I will get better at remembering that not everybody automatically knows what those things mean. So reported at the last meeting under Public Works report was that they were boring under the road at Meadowbrook to install a new water line, and Lightworks did the boring.
All right, other ones, Michelle? Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, Tammy.
So I'm curious about the cross connection. Will that money be reimbursed by the businesses that are required to have those cross connections inspected?
Yes, they're billed through the sales and services charge on utility bills.
Okay, good. I just remember when that first came out that the town had already stated that it would be passed on to the public. It's an unfunded mandate by the state, and those costs will be passed on. So just wanted to verify that that is in fact the case.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, anything from the public? All right, seeing none, let's move on. Oh, wait, we have a motion and a second.
Vote.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, hearing none, that motion passes. All right, let's move on to regular business and the 2020 sanitary survey follow-up number 3.
So this is the third agendized update. And so I did have a question earlier today about items where it might say a part was ordered, but then it says it was completed. What we've done with this update is had it be a running list from the first report to then we added on with the second report with anything that had been accomplished since then, and then the third report, which is the one that's included. So if you'll note, there are 2 outstanding items in the sanitary survey, and we do have a February 5th deadline, and we are working with the state and are on track to complete on time.
Okay, any questions for Corinne from the board? Yes, Bill.
So, for instance, the clock operation complete, it's only partially complete. Is that it hasn't been signed off on yet, or is that?
We're marking, when we mark them complete, it's because we've completed the task required by the state. We've provided the information to the state and they've confirmed that we've met that requirement. And so the sanitary survey itself won't be completely done until all the items are completed and provided to the state and accepted.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Yes, Dave.
Isn't there a requirement of notification of the public? And I was curious when that goes out.
There is a requirement for the notification, but those notification dates they fall all over the place. Sometimes you'll receive a deficiency and the notification requirement is 18 months away, but we're not operating under that. So we are compiling any and all notices that we're required to send out, and we are going to review and release our consumer confidence report early. That deadline's in June, but we're going to release the consumer confidence report and send out all of those notices at the same time. And we're shooting for March to have it completed.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that as a member of the public, I got one of those notices years ago in Paonia, and I was confused by it because it was very bureaucratic and wasn't well explained. So what I would ask is when we send these notices to the public, that there be like an executive summary that actually explains what it means. Because the way the state requires those notices to go out, you have to have some kind of an engineering degree or a degree in political science to understand them.
I completely agree. So we have begun drafting and are planning to include a cover letter with every notice.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Tammy.
I'm just curious, the wastewater unpermitting discharge, it says add a proof of no permit required. What is that proof? I don't think that I'd asked that before and never really got an answer, and I'm wondering what that proof is.
Well, we have a letter from, I believe, Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a letter from the state that we are not required to have that permit.
That is the discharge for the 2 million gallon, which does not hit state waters. And I do have the letter to recognize that we do not have to have a discharge permit for that facility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, anything from the public? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much. Let's move on with administrator evaluation results. Okay, so the town did commit or do their final 2020 evaluation on Corinne, and it covered the final 3 months of the calendar year. The findings were included in the evaluation that was shared in the packet. Are there any other comments from the board about this evaluation? All right, seeing none, anything from the public? All right, seeing none, do we need a motion to accept this, Bo? Okay, can I get a motion to accept yes, Dave?
I'd like to move that we accept the evaluation and approve the contract for the town administrator / clerk.
Well, that's the next agenda item, so let's
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
separate the two and let's.
I'll just stick to this one. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the evaluation for the town administrator. I would like to add to members of the public that weren't involved in the process that we did take public comment on at least 2 occasions. We asked for input. We had each individual trustee provide an evaluation form. We compiled those forms and then had an executive session to discuss it further. And I think the mayor did a real good job of summarizing in the evaluation that's in the packet. So thanks to everyone that participated and gave comments, and thanks to the mayor for being able to put a lot of information together in a very succinct document.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the evaluation results. Can we get a second? Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. Anything from the public? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the town administrator amended contract. So we have we have a proposed amended contract that makes extends it for 2 years, retroactive to January 1st, 2021. And there are a few changes to make this in line with the previous town administrator's contract so that it's pretty standard across the board. Any questions? Yes, Karen Buttinger.
It's just in the recitals, number E, Miss Ferguson is willing to continue to serve as, it says to serve as continue. It just, flip the words around.
I think we can amend that.
Thank you.
All right.
Other than that, I'm happy.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? All right. Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the whole board was aware of the changes that were included. Some of them I only caught on pretty close reading, so I wanted to just call those out if I may. The compensation in the previous contract was $6,153.34 a month and has been increased to $6,413.34. The performance review is set on January 1st, and actually this is more of a question. I'm wondering if we could adjust that to November so that that's done prior to our budget sessions at the end of the year, so that we have an evaluation before we're talking salary. And then the breach of contract in this new contract was extended from 10 days to 30 days. Severance pay was increased from 2 months to 3 months, and termination notice was extended from 10 days to 30 days.
Okay, and then these are, again, the money is due to the raise that the board voted on. And the other items were the same kind of contract that we gave to Ken Knight. So it's just following in a standard town administrator contract that we have made the changes. And as for the performance review, it says on or before January 1st, 2022. So the board can decide, I guess, whenever we want that to happen in a manner that is in consideration of the budget process. So I don't know if we necessarily need to change that. Yes, Dave.
Well, in the budget process, we kind of make estimates about what the salary will be, and then the budget is approved later. And of course, with this contract, that would just be a change that we would typically make if we decide it's not going to be the same as what we budgeted.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to bring up before we move on is that in the job description, there is still an education requirement, a bachelor's degree in public business administration or similar field, 5 years of progressively responsible experience, blah, 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 or any combination of education and experience. And would the board like to change that, since we have basically directed Corinne not to go ahead and pursue her degree and to look at more specific education? Yes, Dave.
Typically, you say equivalent combination.
Or equivalent.
Well, in what we have is, Annie, do you want to stick equivalent in there? Okay, so noted. Michelle?
Yeah, I don't think with the language of equivalent experience and education combination, I don't think we need to change what's there because we're relying more heavily on experience in this case.
Okay, great. Well, then let's go ahead and make those changes. So we have the wording changes up at the recitals and then the equivalent added in the bottom. Okay? Any further discussion? All right. Any discussion from the public? Yes, we have Suzanne.
Hi, this is Suzanne Watson. So I'm wondering why there isn't a requirement of being part of the ICPMA, the International City and County Managers Association, in line with what we've done with former board members. I think that's an important requirement to have in there as well, as long as all the benefits that were afforded to a former manager is in there. I think we should be a little more thorough about this. And then my other question is, I thought there was a big statement about Corinne Ferguson and her husband Neil, who's the chief of police, agreeing not to take a raise right now because of the COVID. And I think there was a big announcement made to that effect in December before you approved the budget. So what I'm seeing here in this contract is a raise. So what's going on here? Was that just a publicity stunt? Thank you.
All right, Suzanne. So to answer your question, we gave her a raise and she said she would defer it, not accept it. The board voted on a raise and Corinne and Neil both deferred taking that raise. And so the contract is written the way the board decided that payment would be.
But she's not taking the money.
Thank you. But also to add that clarification, we deferred, and while it's included in the contract, we still have deferred and have not and are not intending at this time to ask that the board increase our pay.
Okay. Yes, Michelle.
So I wonder if we could clarify that with language in the contract, listing the actual current salary with a provision that it could be increased up to the dollar amount that the board has approved.
I
guess it's my understanding that the board set this parameter of the salary for 2021, 2022, and then on her own vocation, Corinne has agreed to remit a portion of it. So that's not a contractual obligation in any way. I think that we have an agreed upon baseline, and that should be the contractual number in the contract. So.
Okay, any further discussion? Yes, Dave.
I think a letter of thanks would be appropriate.
Absolutely, to both of them. All right, yes, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you. So my understanding is that Corinne did not, basically the raise or the change in salary is for a cost of living adjustment. And I was wondering if that would apply to all of the other town employees as well. And I also was wondering about the choice of honorific as far as the address, Corinne's addressed as Miss Ferguson rather than Mrs. I was wondering if that was her choice or the reasoning behind that.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Corinne, do you prefer Ms. or Mrs.?
It didn't occur to me either way.
And yeah, the cost of living, the contract is Corinne, and it only affects Corinne, and it's not for the other. So what the board agreed on, the board agreed on. Unless I'm not understanding this correctly. Anybody see it?
Right. No, my question was if it applied as well to other town employees.
What applied to other town employees?
Cost of living wage adjustment.
Okay.
So if I may, the board, during the budget process, of course, the board approved up to a certain amount of increases that were that different staff members were eligible for, and based on our tier structure for wages, the wage tiers, sorry, I'm stuttering over myself a little bit. And so as the individual employees receive their evaluations and are presented with what their salaries could be, if an individual employee chose to defer that wage increase as well, we would accept that, but we would address that with each individual employee on a case-by-case basis.
We did not approve cost of living increases. We improved performance increases. And it's up to the department heads or the evaluating body to determine what is the appropriate raise. So there is no cost of living, but maybe what Mr. Markle's question is more about is maybe comparing the percentage raise that is in this contract versus the percentage raise that other employees get. We don't have those numbers yet.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we need a motion to accept this contract with the change in the recitals and the change in the job description. Can I get a motion?
Oh, moved.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion from the board? Okay, we have one hand up at 2329. Is that Suzanne? If that's Suzanne, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say you didn't answer my second question that I asked. And so it's difficult when we can only speak once when you don't actually completely respond to us.
I'm sorry, what was the second?
About the professional membership. Why aren't you requiring that in this contract like you have with all the other town managers we've hired?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot that one. Do we have, as far as I'm concerned, I don't remember it being part of Ken Knight's contract. Yes, Dave.
I think Ken specified that in his contract. He wanted to make sure that we covered his dues. I don't know if Corinne has the same intent.
Corinne, do you share one way or the other?
Not at the moment. I would be happy to look into it and see if that is something that I think would be beneficial for the town to pay for. The town does currently pay for my continued membership in the Clerks International for Clerks, as well as the State Clerks Association. But I would be happy to look into it, see if it would be beneficial for me and for the town in the position that I'm in, and can bring that back to the board if I think it is something that we would want to include.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. We have a revised set of minutes and one other set of minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Yes, Nick.
I believe on page 72, that's that's right. It says Government Affairs and Public Safety Report. Last item should be STRs, not ADRs.
There were several corrections that were and amendments that were submitted prior to the meeting, and that was one of them. So we have taken care of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tammy, I believe you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if these have already been taken care of, but one of them is the most recent minutes were dated 2020. Should be corrected to 2021. Page 69, Eric Pace is ERIC, just for the record. Page 70. Let's see what that one was. Page 70, posting, oh, it says posting if notices rather than posting of notices, right above the vote box. And then the only other one is page 72. It says in the mayor's report, the mayor was invited to.
Yeah, and that's been corrected.
Okay.
And I got all those corrected.
Okay, great. All right, any further discussion? Questions? All right, seeing none, anything from the public? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, moving on to the mayor's report. I did include a written report of all the meetings that I attended. I'm not going to go through them again, but if you have any questions about it, I will be happy to answer any questions anyone has. All right, seeing no questions. Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, the mayor is done. Let's move on to the committee reports, finance and personnel.
Nothing to report.
All right, government affairs and public safety, Nick and Michelle.
So Mick, I can take this one if you want. Let me know if you have anything to add. Corinne and Bo are working on a draft ordinance for ADUs, which we've discussed previously, so that should come back before the board before too long. We did hold a Let's Talk session on January 14th, and Mick moderated that. We had 8 attendees. We received some good feedback from the public, and we're putting together a summary of that. Our next step is to probably put out a survey. So that's what we're working on, a survey to get input from all the relevant stakeholders related to short-term rentals. And our next meeting is going to be February 8th at 3 p.m., open to the public as always. And I think that's all I have, unless Mick, if you have anything else.
Just the meeting will be, of course, via Zoom. So, other than that, nothing to add.
Okay, any questions? Don't see any. Public? Yes, Suzanne.
This was a question for the personnel committee because you didn't afford the opportunity. But I wanted to point out, I think you should look into it a little further. I believe they are misinformed in the professional membership in contracts. In the manager's contract, it wasn't just something about who's going to pay for it. It was actual requirement to have that membership because it ramps things up a little bit more. There's a conduct clause for being a member, so they're held to a higher standard than even our own standards. And I think you should look into that instead of just assuming it was who's going to pay for it. That wasn't the intent of putting that in the contract, in the form of contract, that every town manager before Ken Knight also had to be a member of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to public works, utilities, and facilities. Tammy and Bill.
We met on January the 20th. We had a list of several items. The first one was the sewer plant operation and more about the details of the ammonia problem. And we have asked the staff to get some engineering help and to bring reports back to the council detailing what the problem is and possible solutions. The sewer plant is an integral part of our community, and it's a very high cost ticket to work on and replace. So I think this sewer plant issue is something that needs to be dealt into quickly and understand our options. The sewer plant is a mature plant, and we have to get it to last a long time yet. So I think that getting more details on it and getting more information back to the council to make good decisions is a necessity. Secondly, we talked briefly about the Twin Lakes bonding that came up during the budget meetings. That never has been fully resolved yet. Staff indicated that they are tracking down the information on that. Discussed the general condition of the sidewalks and the gutters and the ice. Same old problem every year that we have. Certain people don't shovel sidewalks. It's always the same ones. And ask the town to make more emphasis on getting these problems taken care of. The gutters and the curbs, there is not adequate drainage. There's no, so when you get to the end of the sidewalk, you have to leap across the ice and hope that the road is melted off, but the gutters and the curbs are very, very icy. Better in warm weather, I'll grant you, but at that time they were bad. Details on the 3rd and Grand intersection, the plans and the contracts and whatnot. Travis indicated that based upon the budget and the cost of everything, he's looking at expanding that project. And he also noted to us that the county has agreed to pave the Meadowbrook area, the streets up there, Meadowbrook. It'll probably be later in the season. Discuss the date of the school water meter installed. This is a project that's been lagging for a long, or hanging fire for a long time, and hopefully Travis can get this to conclusion. Discuss briefly the rest of the town water meters and all the water meters. Try to get those moved along. The repair of the town, the town's ditch that goes to the park. Travis indicated he's going to put that in a culvert, and it's certainly before the irrigation season finishes. We need to have brought that to conclusion. The rest of it was covered in the Public Works report, the mapping, the inventory, the 1 million gallon tank computer system, bulk water sales, and water flow data. So he's got those covered. And Tammy, if you have anything else, jump in.
One thing I probably should have mentioned during when Corinne was talking, she was talking about new street signs. Is that something that Corinne could maybe update us on? That was the only other thing that was discussed at the meeting, and the street signs sound like a really good idea.
Yeah, we are updating some of our older outdated street signs, not only the names, but also the traffic control stop signs, yield signs. Following several conversations, we are also adding at the key entry points into town signs that state that the alley speed throughout town is 5 miles per hour in all of the alleys. And so we do, that is another project we're doing this year.
Yes, Nick. All right, Tammy, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tammy.
And the only other thing is I really appreciate Trustee Bear staying on top of the sewer plant operation. As he stated, we really need a long-term solution for the ammonia problem, and taking care of it now will save money in the future.
All right, thank you, Tammy. Yeah, Nick.
I was just going to ask about the 15 mile per hour ATV speed limit. Will there be any signs to that effect?
We didn't discuss the ATV signs, but if it's within the budget, there's no reason why we can't add that with the alley sign.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none. Suzanne?
It's too bad this lady in my ear doesn't talk a little faster. Yeah, I think the ATV signs are a good idea. It almost seems like they're more important than the alley signs. It is a law that we have, so I hope you can look into that. But also, I was wondering, I can understand what Trustee Bear said about the piping the irrigation ditch. If that was to be done before the irrigation season, I know the neighbor that ditch is adjacent to is getting an immense amount of water seepage now into their cellar that they've never had before. And I know they certainly would like to see that taken care of as soon as possible. So I didn't understand what Trustee Bear said. Was it before the irrigation season?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Suzanne. All right, moving on to tree board. Tammy.
Okay, we met via Zoom on January 20th. Welcome new members Greg Hottinger and Mariah Malin, and they joined John Valentine, Jeff Thompson, Mark Newland, and Paula Martin. Paula was reelected as board chair, and John Valentine was reelected as board secretary. We discussed the 2020-05 ordinance, amending the tree board ordinance and what it meant for the tree board moving into 2021 and beyond. We had an update on the parks and trails and recreation, the website we discussed earlier. And the tree board would like to see a tree specific section in the plan, just making sure that trees are mentioned in the master plan. And Jeff Thompson, who works with data to create reports, is working on that. So we hope to work with the community and the organization that's doing this whole Parks, Recreation, and Trails plan in the coming weeks to make that happen. And John Valentine is working on continuing to improve the tree board website, which is payonyourtreeboard.org. And the tree board views that as an educational site all about trees. Looking to 2021, April 30th is Arbor Day. Mariah is hoping to coordinate with the local schools on a tree planting event. And after a successful 2020 Sick Tree Day last July, the board would agreed to host a second event, providing that tree and bug experts are available, and we hope to announce that date in the near future. Members would also like to see a Sick Sidewalk Day, where property owners can receive information on trees that are impeding or may impede sidewalk safety and stability. And in light of recent complaints about tree trimming, Greg Hottinger is looking into Grand Junction and its tree ordinance. They require annual licensing of professionals who trim trees. So we're looking into seeing if we can get some continuity in the way trees are pruned in town. And as far as Cherry Days, Mountain Harvest Festival this year, we'll see. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Tammy. Gosh, the tree board was really busy this time. Wow. All right, any questions for Tammy? Nope, seeing none. Anything from the public? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on to executive session. Bill, do your thing.
Move that we go into executive session for a conference with the town attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-402 4B. Specific to Eric Pace versus the town of Peonia and procedural matters.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are in executive session. Do your thing, friend.
All right, let me get going here.